Am I live? I never know if this thing's going to start or not. Welcome. I think this is November. Live stream learning about movies. Let me get rid of this. I'm Professor Matthews. This is my live stream for November. We're going to go over several movies on your movie journey. Let me help you out. Oh, might as well go right to it. I have a Letterboxd account. Those of you who don't know this, there it is. Go ahead and follow me. I'll look at your information, follow you. By the way, is my tech working? One never knows, so let me know in the comments. I'm sure some of you will. Anyway, Letterboxd. I like Letterboxd. I write on there ad hoc, kind of flimsy stuff, and it's not professional, but it is fun. And so I do that. Also, by the way, I do Discord now, so I like my Discord server. Lots of very nice, sweet people on there. Interesting, informative. I'm surprised nothing crazy has happened there, and I have not had to deal with anybody who is, frankly, downright rude like happens on YouTube. So I'm grateful for the Discord people. Whoever you are, thanks everybody, guys and gals and everybody else. Let me make sure this is working. But what I normally do is I go through what Discord is fun. Thank you. I normally go through for this live stream what I've watched sometimes and what's leaving streaming, because how do you know what movies to pick for the month? I had a friend come up to me and say, I don't know what movies to watch ever anymore because no movies come our way. We live in a tiny town, so our movie theater gets nothing anymore. And he doesn't know what to watch. He used to be an avid moviegoer, like every single Friday going to matinee. Now he goes to nothing. So he's complaining to me about, well, what do I watch? Who do I trust to watch? I'm like, just listen to me. I've got like hundreds of recommendations. But other people definitely do too. I mean, the internet's thriving. We have streaming that gives you every movie ever made. So let's take a hard or quick look at some things that you could watch that are fun to watch, in my opinion. Just to go through a little bit what I watched, and I think some people have showed up here because of this movie. My YouTube video on it did pretty well. Because I think this is a popular movie, All Quiet on the Western Front, the new version, the German version, just came out on Netflix, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. What's very interesting about it, a lot of people agreed, and so I feel pretty confident in saying you probably will like this movie a lot, whoever you are. If you can stomach war movies, I think this is a good movie to show people about what modern warfare is in general. Now, the complaints about this movie, on my channel at least, were that this movie does not follow the book, that it's thin on characterization, it's not realistic in terms of it's depicting the right helmets or something. I mean, those are the main points of contention about this movie. So those of you who have read the book absolutely love it, and you need your movie to follow the book, shot for shot or story bit for story bit, and have all the characters in it. I'm sure you'll be disappointed with this. This is not a movie that's going to do that. I don't judge movies based on whether they match up with the book or not. Now, I do actually judge movies based on whether they are as complex as the book they're based on. So I always feel like if the book is really good, really rich, then the movie in its own medium, using the tools of its medium, sight and sound, should be as good and rich as the book. So I don't like it when a movie takes a book and kind of dumbs it down or makes it simpler or reduces it to something. I usually don't like that. But I didn't find this movie did that. I thought this movie was rich and interesting in its own medium. And it was honoring its own medium. It is aware of all these other war movies like Kubrick and Tarkovsky's, Come and See. Actually, Come and See is the movie that shows up here a little bit. So I know some of you like this movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Another movie I watched, recent movie. What I did actually, I'm just very sorry I did not mention this. HBO Max had a killer deal where they had the ad-free yearly subscription for $100, basically, and it just ended. I wish I had let you all know that. I just found out about it like a week or two ago, so I signed back up because that's pretty cheap for a year's worth of a streaming service. And they had this movie, Barbarian, which I didn't want to watch because I thought that the premise was stupid. It's about this woman, you can see her at the top of this screen here, this image, showing up in Airbnb, and she ends up staying at the Airbnb even though there's a man already in it. And it's apparently been double booked. Now I'm thinking to myself, in the real world, in what scenario is a female going to stay with a random strange dude in an Airbnb? Like, that's just stupid. That was my caution about this movie, but the movie does just enough to make that plausible, and it doesn't really matter that much anyway. I feel like I'm still scarred by this movie. I'm haunted by what happens in it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to say this is an absolutely great movie, but oh gosh. I thought this was a lot more interesting than it looked from the descriptions, just the plot descriptions or the scenario descriptions of it. So I'm kind of giving this a recommendation, but certainly not to everybody. Certainly only people who like horror movies. So anyway, there's that one. Let me just one more time. I'm going to check. I was paranoid about my live stream. Oh yeah. By the way, those of you who are now on this, please ask me questions. I will take your questions later. I will enjoy interacting with you in just a tiny little bit. Because I go to the chat. Copland. Anybody remember this movie? I do. I watched it in a dorm room when I was in college. Came out. You see it says 1997. Are you aware of this movie? Sylvester Stallone stars, has Robert De Niro in a bit part. And it has Harvey Keitel and a bunch of other people, like 10 other people. You go, oh, it's that guy, Peter Berg, Michael Rappaport, just a bunch of those guys. And while it's a movie about New Jersey and New York City cops, it's also just plain out a Western, and Sly Stallone stars as kind of the Gary Cooperish type character. I gotta admit, I kind of like this movie. I rewatched it and I thought, okay, this is not bad. It's Hollywoodish, but it's not, I appreciate it, its Westernness. James Mangold is the director, and you know him from Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash documentary, Wolverine maybe, Logan for sure, Ford versus Ferrari, a bunch of movies. He's doing the Indiana Jones 5 movie. So I think this is his first movie, which he wrote and directed. I'm not saying this is great, but it has some interesting elements to it. So, you'll probably know you'll like it by just looking at the scenario and the basic plot description of the people in it. Sylvester Stallone is at his best in this. You would not think he could play this character. This movie proves he's a pretty good actor, if you didn't think he was. And then the last one, I strongly recommend this. I will do a video on it, which will come out next year sometime. Wonderful Masako Kobayashi movie. I just rewatched it in order to do a video on it. Samurai Rebellion. You guys know, or a lot of you know, Harakiri, which very famous movie in the top 100 on IMDb. You might know Kwaidan. You might know Human Condition. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. Now, only watch the Criterion Channel version, though, because that's high definition-ish. You can't get a Blu-ray of this yet. You can't get a high-definition disc on your own. And I don't recommend the DVD version because it doesn't look good and crisp. So if you're going to watch this, try to find the best streaming version available. I think this is a great movie. I guess I kind of like Kobayashi's political and cultural biases. So that's partly why I like it. It's about tyranny and how people react to tyranny. A small-time tyranny, but it's a really interesting story. And Mifune's in it, one of my favorite actors. If you pin me down, I might say he's my favorite. So I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. This is a recommendation for almost anybody who could like samurai movies. Okay. New movies. Do you care or not? Now, my big complaint about new movies is that I have no access to them. I, as an ordinary Joe moviegoer, just a dude, a random dude, a bro, I cannot get to these great, interesting releases. There's no wide releases for me anymore. I mean, look at what's coming out. And I've asked the movie companies about this. For one thing, we're missing Martin McDonagh's movie, Banshees of Inisherin. That came out in October. I'm still waiting for it to come even near me or get on streaming. Yeah, I know I can pirate it. Do I? You guys deal with the legal and moral implications of that. But I'm just saying it's not available in a legal way for me. So while I don't know anything about the economics of the movie industry really, and whether dumping a movie on streaming initially is going to harm movies economically, I think from the point of view of a moviegoer, they're not catering to our wants and needs. They're not serving us. So I don't see why we can't just stream these things and pay for the streaming. So another one is Bardo. I asked the movie studio, maybe it was Netflix, for Bardo, which is Inarritu's new movie. Where's it at? Maybe I'm missing it. Oh, there it is, November 4th. Actually, it's tomorrow from the day of this live stream recording. Bardo comes out. Now, it'll be out on Netflix eventually, but why can't I get this? I mean, he made Birdman, he made The Revenant. Those are in my movie theaters. Why isn't his new movie? I don't know. I'm very confused by why major movie makers are not getting their movies. I mean, The Fabelmans is a Spielberg movie, and that is not coming out in a wide release. The wide releases are only the bold ones here, so that's probably what I'm getting, or I need to have to drive to some of these. I'm at a loss as to why most of these are not accessible to me. But you go through this and there's a Spielberg movie, wide release. You got, the Knives Out sequel, sort of. And there's just a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm really, if anybody says movies are dying, they're definitely not dying. Just look at all the movies coming out in the next month or so. So the ones I'm interested in are just name them. Someone tell me if the Weird Al story is going to be any good, or is it any good? I have not seen a streamer for it. No idea. Obviously, there's a Marvel movie, Black Panther, and so on. So, but can you get to these? I don't know. So I'm going to show you. Some of you aren't on Netflix, by the way. I totally get that. Fine. But even if you're not on Netflix, you can still get recommendations here. And this is what's leaving in December. Netflix tends to take things off at the beginning of a month, though. So you have about, 27 days to watch these. If you have a Netflix subscription before they leave that platform and go who knows where. You may never see them again. Or you may have a hard time accessing them. I probably will try to watch Clear and Present Danger again. The Harrison Ford movie came out when I was a kid. With my own children. I'm not sure. I can't remember what's in that movie, but I remember one of those Jack Ryan movies I really liked, but I can't remember which one. They all sort of blur together for me. It might be that one, but I forget. Clueless is fun. Collateral is kind of a ridiculously fun Michael Mann movie. The one I would recommend for everybody, though, if you haven't seen it, this goes along with All Quiet on the Western Front, is The Hurt Locker, a movie I like a lot. It did win the Academy Award for Best Movie, I think. Am I right about that? I think it did. Catherine Bigelow is the director. I still think this is an excellent movie, mostly. I mean, I'm glad she made it, and I'm glad it exists. And then, of course, for my wife, she absolutely loves Steel Magnolias. She's watched that 50 times. So if you're looking for a date movie, there you go. But Color Purple, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on here that may be of interest, although a lot of stuff doesn't absolutely stand out. But I see a couple I'm interested in. What I really like, though, Criterion Channel. I do not get paid by any of these people. I have zero advertising on my channel besides my movie palette, which I did a video on. But this one, Criterion Channel I love. It's cheap. And they curate the selections, and it's so interesting. So I'm just going to go through this real quickly. Even if you don't have Criterion Channel, you can still benefit from this, obviously. I'm going to highlight a couple movies. And if you see anything, you're on this video and you are chatting here, feel free to highlight any of these. Because I definitely have not seen 20% of these, probably. I mean, there's so many. If you scroll on down, it's unbelievable how many are leaving the channel. And again, you may never see them again, or they may be hard to find. And one of those is The Man Who Fell to Earth. I like this movie a lot. I have meant to do a video on it. I have not. Starring David Bowie. I think David Bowie is a great actor, or very interesting at least, and he plays an alien who crash lands on Earth. I think he's trying to get water for his planet, which is undergoing a famine or a loss of water or something like that. But he gets hooked on Earth stuff. He gets stuck on Earth in a sense, and for various reasons. And he's an alien, a little outsider. Becomes like a super advanced Elon Musk character. He ends up building huge, vast systems. He's trying to get himself off the planet, but yet he's sort of addicted to Earth's pleasures as well. And beware of this movie that it's not for kids. This is definitely not for kids. But the writer of this book I really like, underrated writer Walter Tevis. You know him from, oh shoot, I'm forgetting Walter Tevis's. I mean, he wrote many very good novels. Mockingbird is a fantastic science fiction novel, but he wrote a bunch of novels that movies are based on. Oh, yeah, he wrote Man of the Hustler, Color of Money, the Pool movies. Oh, The Queen's Gambit. That's what I was looking for, which is the beloved Netflix chess TV show. And then we wrote The Man Who Fell to Earth. I feel like this movie, though, is a better movie than a book. Talking about books turned into movies, I like this movie better than the book. That's one of the rare times, or one of the few times I can say that. So, if you're interested in science fiction, David Bowie, weird stuff, this one. The other one I want to recommend very strongly is Kess. I've never really mentioned this on the channel. I just gave it a rewatch, but just was moved. I thought it was fantastic again. It's one of the best boyhood, troubled boy movies, sort of Charles Dickens-like, but set in the late 20th century, mid-late 20th century. Poor boy, tough schooling life, tough experiences, befriends a falcon, sort of environmental message, or a humans versus nature, very basic binary. Yet, this thing is super well filmed. Somehow, there's movie magic in this. It's that indescribable, indefinable quality that makes a movie arresting. And you could intellectualize it, try to pin it down for its technical details and story elements, but I don't know how this is better than other boyhood fare, yet I think it is. Let me know if you agree with me on that, but I really like this movie. So those are the two I recommend, and definitely most people can watch Kess, no problem, including children, older children. A few others to highlight. I'm not seeing that Bill Duke movie, but I will. It's a neo-noir. I want to watch that. And The Funhouse, the reason I'm highlighting that, Criterion had a 80s horror collection, and I watched some of it. I didn't love much of it, but as you probably know, horror isn't necessarily the thing I absolutely love. The Funhouse, so I just looked at Quentin Tarantino's new book. He's got a new book called Cinema Speculation, which apparently is very rambly and has a lot of grammatical errors in it. I'm reading about it. It's like one of the highlights of the book is it's like completely unedited and totally rambly, which may actually be a feature. But he goes through the movies that he, I think, liked as a kid or as a teenager that influenced him, and they're like late 60s to early 80s fare. And I noticed that The Funhouse is the last movie in the book that he writes about or dedicates a chapter to. Now, if you like Tarantino, that's of interest. Just frankly, that may be a reason to try this movie. I don't know. It may be gross or too ridiculous. I have no clue, but I might actually watch it. It's not very long. Now, again, as you look through this, anything else you want to highlight here? I've not seen Thirst. I probably will watch Sweet Smell of Success, which I've never seen. Those are two I will. There's like 4 or 5 I probably will watch because they're leaving the channel. I have a subscription to it, and I have a hard time finding these movies sometimes. So, and as we go down, these movies are less and less watched, I think. Prisoner of Zenda is okay. Yeah, so some of these tend to be Beauty and the Beast. Is that a good one? Can I watch that with my daughter? I have no idea. All right, so those are my 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 recommendations. I mean, and last, again, not advertising, but Criterion just throw things at me like, I need time to do other things, but you're throwing at me the noir movies from Fox? My goodness, that's fantastic. And you should scroll through that curated collection, look at it. It's like, if you like noir, old noir, classic noir, it's really interesting. I also like Veronica Lake. I think she's beautiful. Pardon my wife. I think she's dead. So don't worry. There's no competition there. But Veronica Lake is in Sullivan's Travels, and it has a collection of her stuff. The free jazz movies, I love jazz. I wonder, I've never seen any of these, though. So I don't know if they're worth exploring or not. Are they documentaries? Don't know. But there's so much on Criterion. Why do I need any other streaming service? Good question. All right. Boy, let me check this out. All right, here we go. I'm going to look at the chat now. And feel free to say whatever the heck you want. I always love you guys. You guys are great. I'm going to go through the comments, and you can react to what I say. I see oh, yeah. Okay. So someone says, I see you gave 12 Angry Men 2 stars. Why? Okay. So if you go to my Letterboxd account and you see me rate something, but I have written nothing about it, consider that a tentative rating. I've probably seen the movie, or I've seen the movie, but maybe I watched it when I was 8 years old. And that was my 8-year-old reaction to it, or my 16-year-old reaction. So I have not actually rewatched 12 Angry Men. 30 years? No, I'm not that old. 25? I don't know. Somewhere in there. So I don't know. I don't even remember rating it. I probably went through like 1,000, 2,000 movies at once, and I could have made a mistake. I don't remember, though. I will watch it and look at it again. Don't worry about that. One of these days I will. I love how someone says, he probably thinks it's full of cliches and platitudes and fake deep or something. Yeah, I mean, that... yeah, so you probably know me a little bit. Some of you have hung around me. I'm a little bothered by movies that are purely ideological or I sense that they're agenda-based. There definitely is one part of every single movie ever made. There's always some kind of message, agenda, ideology, or group of ideologies. But that if that's all you're doing, it's reductive, in my opinion, about art. So I don't remember 12 Angry Men, quite honestly. So I probably should just take that rating off. Great questions. I have seen Breaking Bad. Obviously, I've modeled my... No, I did not model my haircut on Walter White. He stole it from me. I thought Breaking Bad was very hooky. I mean, it sucks you in and it makes you want to keep watching if you're into that premise. Okay, I think it's a work of naturalism, literary naturalism, which I am attracted to. I didn't think it advanced naturalism at all. I thought it just rehashed it for the 21st century, which is fine. I actually like Better Call Saul, the sequel TV show, better. I like its whole trajectory, its characters, its ending, and the shot making and sound is fantastic. It is high cinema quality stuff. So I think they improved on what they were doing in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And I like the wisdom of Better Call Saul overall. The overall thing I'm getting from it better. So I might be in the minority saying I like that better than Breaking Bad. My opinion on Lars von Trier is I think he's a very good filmmaker. I don't like some of his movies, but I think he has ridiculous talent. And I couldn't come close to what he's doing. Yeah, a couple people say they like Copland. So I think it's underrated. I think nobody really knows too much about it. I'm not going to say then, oh, go watch it. It's so fantastic. It's not one of those gems like we can rediscover, but it's way better than it's way better than the average movie coming out in the 1990s. So I like James Mangold's stuff, and I find that that's probably a good description of his movies, like better than the average movie, not great. I'm not like amazing work of art. So it's somewhere in that nice middle zone of watchable, you can get something from it. I hope that makes sense. Oh, so this is a great question. Prill Jazz Atlanta asks. Now, I would ask you all this question. So why don't you give me your answers here? What is one movie that you wish you could take credit for having made because it's a sort of film you would want to make? I thought about actually making a video on this at some point. Movies I wish I could have written. That's probably the way I would think about this. I have no illusions that I could be a director. I don't think that's even possible for me. I wouldn't want to deal with people involved, first of all, but writing would be a little bit more likely. But one movie that I wish you could take credit for. So let's just dream a hypothetical. So what would you take credit for? In class today, I mentioned Groundhog Day. I probably would like to take credit for that, but I would want to tweak it. I probably want to tweak a little bit of the beginning and somewhat of the ending. But I probably would claim it as is. A movie I'm showing in class very soon, I have a science fiction class, is the movie Her by Spike Jonze. And I continue to think that is one of my favorite movies. And that I just love the sick, dark humor in it, but yet it's totally a romantic comedy. And the issues in it are fascinating to me. What is AI? Is AI like humans? Are humans basically AI, algorithmic? I mean, there's all kinds of questions. I think those... I'd have to think a little bit more about those. Those are two that just came right to mind. There's probably a whole list, like 50 of them, but movies that represent my point of view would be different than movies I would like to take credit for, probably. So that's I think those are two different questions. That makes sense. Great questions, everybody. Hello, Discord people. Great to have you here. You're very fun. Yeah, go to my Discord if you haven't. It's kind of fun. I think it's very fun. That's why I'm posting there, or right there. The Fabelmans trailer looks too schmaltzy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried when there's a trend with directors, by the way. They're all making memoirish stuff about their childhood. This has been happening for 5 to 10 years now. Of course, Cuarón, what movie? Why am I blanking on this? The movie he won for the Oscar. The movie takes place in Mexico. That was a memoirish movie. Roma, duh. Roma is a memoir. There's a bunch of them. I feel like The Fabelmans is a memoir, and then it's gonna be like a Woody Allen kind of thing. I don't know. I'm surprised he made it. I don't know. I've never seen The Twilight Samurai, Ed. I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm writing that down. So, The Twilight Samurai. I will check that out right after this. Always, that's why you should join the Discord. Always people who know a lot. So, Brian and Charles? Okay, so Brian and Charles is a movie. I had a friend just randomly talk to me about this. He says, have you seen Brian and Charles? I'm like, I've never heard of this. And I keep up with that movie list. You saw that here's what's coming out list, and I didn't see it there. There's Brian and Charles. Have you seen this? Now, the guy I was talking to said it's like Lars and the Real Girl. A lonely human makes I think in this case, a robot, and befriends it and thinks it's his buddy. Is this any good? Now, someone on here in the chat saying yes. It's getting 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb. It does look interesting, the premise. I would probably watch this. I don't know if I have access to it, so let me know what you think about this movie, everyone, because I'm interested to see if I should spend time on it, and if you should too. All right. It's a good question, by the way. Yeah, and yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you review a series. Do you mean a TV series? And you're saying that they made a series on William Gibson's The Peripheral? Really? I did not know that. I've not been paying attention to TV series. They just come out left and right, and it's hard to keep up. Reviewing a TV series. One problem with that, obviously, is that they're long, and they take a lot of time investment, which I'm doing this as a hobby, more or less. I mean, I'm just fitting it in when I have time. So I don't know. TV series are tougher for me personally just because of that factor. Let me know about Peripheral. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, Bowie's a good actor. I think Bowie was in a bunch of stuff. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. is the prison camp movie you should watch. A Man Who Fell to Earth, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. That's David Bowie's acting chops. And then you ask yourself, okay, I know he's a pop star. I know he was doing a lot of concerts, right? Spending his time that way. Why didn't he act more? And yeah, he's good in The Prestige. Like he's seen stealing as Nikola Tesla in The Prestige, I thought. So I agree with some of you saying that. He's in The Hunger. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Oh, okay. So you never heard of Cass. Now run to it. Yeah. Now, you may not like it. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But I think it's a well-done movie. So check it out and see if that works. Cass is real good. Yeah, Ken Loach. Well-regarded. Oh. Well, there's a lot of comments here. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for everything, by the way. Your support, just liking, etc. So now we're just in free time here. Sweet Smell of Success is one of the most musical films I've ever seen. The language is almost Shakespearean. Can't wait to read or hear about your thoughts on it. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll move that up the priority list. I had been meaning to watch that and just hadn't gotten to it. Oh, someone says they saw Chungking Express on the big screen. Huh. How could you see it on the big screen? Are you probably in a big city where they're showing it again? Or a college town where they're showing it? That's interesting. In the Heart of the Lonely Hunter. Yeah, on the Criterion list I had, you saw Heart of the Lonely Hunter. The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, famous book by Nathaniel West. So I had wondered, and I saw Old Man of the Sea on there as well. A few of these, Hollywood loved to do this because, frankly, literature was more popular 50 to 80 years ago, roughly. And so they kept translating these classic books into, and famous modern books into movies. But that is one of the phenomenon, like where some of those are dumbed down quite a bit. Now, for example, East of Eden by John Steinbeck, I don't feel like that is. I like that movie a lot. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like that one. And some of those Raymond Chandler books, obviously, have been, really well done on screen. So the question of books versus movies interests me because I used to be in the camp long ago of saying, you can never do it. Books always are better than the movie. It's sort of a cliched principle. Books are better than the movies. But that's not true, in my opinion. Now, if you look at, because you have to look at the film filmically, listen to it filmically, and it's usually doing something completely different. So I was trying to come up a list of movies I liked better than the books. That's a hard list to come up with because, first of all, you have to read books and watch movies. That's a ton of time. But The Man Who Fell to Earth was one of them. Actually, a couple science fiction books. Children of Men was another one. I like that movie a lot better than the book. Yeah, so I'll be interested to see these. How many movies have I seen? I don't know. I don't think my letterbox is accurate on the movies I've seen. It's the letterbox, keeps track. I'll show you. I probably made a mistake when I first went on Letterboxd because I went on there, didn't know anybody, wasn't doing this YouTube channel, and just went through and ranked and rated all these movies and tried to actually figure out, okay, what I've seen. And so it says I've seen 2,100 films. Is that a lot? Probably way too many. That's how many years is that? Oh my goodness. And how many times have I seen these more than once? So, yet, if you go on Letterboxd, there's these people who have ranked and rated 5,000 films, which it's hard for me to believe that. Like, what else are you doing in your life besides watching movies? I don't know. I don't know how you have time. I personally don't, but other people might. But I know I have not put in a lot of movies I've seen, especially the bad ones. I haven't put in anything from Mystery Science Theater, and I've seen most of that stuff. So there's a bunch that, and by the way, then there's all these TV episodes that are you can put in there as movies. So all the Black Mirror episodes are separate movies in Letterboxd. Maybe that's cheating then. So I don't know. A life well lived is probably watching, 500 great movies. I just said that. I haven't thought about it, but I may be right. If you could watch 500 great movies, that's pretty good. So, what else? Just a couple more minutes here. A perfect Mangold description, yeah. Knight of Cups by Terrence Malick, yeah. Oh, you guys are asking or answering the question about what movie you would like to be responsible for. You would like to claim Knight of Cups, huh? Yeah. There Will Be Blood. Holy Mountain. That's an interesting choice. What is my favorite De Niro performance? Okay, that's a good question. I don't deal much with actors on my channel, in part because I don't feel like I can judge them well. Partly because I'm not an actor, but also because I think other people have things to do with actors, or they make a difference, like the director and the writers and the makeup people. Really can make or break some performances. I'm going to look at Robert De Niro. What's your favorite Robert De Niro role? Look at this. I mean, how could it... Well, I was going to say, like, Taxi Driver, but... Harry Tuttle in Brazil. Oh, Rupert Pupkin in The King of Comedy, yeah. Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull. So, yeah, those are the classic ones. But I like that he went from Jake LaMotta to Rupert Pupkin. Raging Bull, The King of Comedy, look at those two and ask yourself, okay, that would prove that De Niro is a great actor. Just those two back-to-back in a career. I think. Wouldn't they? I mean, he's got a killer run of stuff here. But maybe Rupert Pupkin is just fun, weird, disturbing, etc. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, you can't see it. Yeah. I'm on IMDb here. I just got a copy of Heat, by the way, which I haven't seen since it came out, and I will rewatch that too. It's been a very long time trying to go through some older 1990s fare. So, all right. Okay, last one. Evan Adams recommends Tar. Am I saying that right? I did see that in the theater. I did not watch the movie, but I did see that it's in theaters. So you're recommending it. Why? I'm interested in it. I did look it up, and it was on my list of maybe I'll get to there, but I would have had to drive a long way to get to it. If anyone wants to give me contacts to movie studios, like there's Tar right there. Okay, cool poster. That's not the poster I was just looking at. Where's that poster at? Anyway, it's a thriller. Greatest living composer. Okay, I don't know. This looks interesting. I'll check it out. Okay, so I'll put that on my list. I got like 10 movies now myself to watch. You have a bunch of movies to watch. There's no end to all the great movies ever. As my friend was trying to say, I don't know what movie to watch. I don't know how you couldn't, because there's like umpteen thousand movies, it feels like now, to watch on streaming. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time, your wonderful patience with me. Really appreciate all your recommendations. Take care. See you next month. And keep watching. I'll interact with you in comments and on Discord. See you later.